What is up, everybody? In this video I wanted to make because a couple of people were talking about how they wanted to see a villain one of the wasted Jojo characters, because I made a protagonist one for the good guys. Now I'm gonna make a villain one for villains that I feel like were wasted. That's not to say they weren't cool. I still love a lot of these villains. Most of these villains on this list I love, and I'm gonna do one for each part. I could do a part 2 where I talk about another villain, because there's so many villains in Jojo that are so clean and so cool to me that feel like they were a bit wasted because they had potential, and maybe I expected too much, maybe my standards were too high. But when I'm watching Jojo, I want my standards to be all the way up. So let's just jump right into this. Part 1's wasted villain that I chose is Jack the Ripper. Now, I guess you could say, what the hell? He doesn't even use Hamo, and he doesn't do anything cool. He's not cool. Now, let me explain. Jack the Ripper, I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't even like Jack the Ripper. And in the show, at least, I didn't like him. No, I don't like him in real life. He's a bastard in real life, but I didn't like him in the show either. I thought he was kind of lame. He didn't do much. I thought his look was kind of cool. It was a cool take on the way Jack the Ripper would look, but I think he just was so wasted for someone who is supposed to, and maybe that was the point. Maybe the point was, oh, this famous, crazy, infamous killer in real life meant nothing to the Jojo characters in the show. Maybe that was the point. Maybe that's what they were trying to do, but I think that kind of was a waste. Maybe they could have made Jack the Ripper a lot cooler instead of just coming and then dying, like, or whatever. I feel like he barely did anything for someone with the name Jack the Ripper, because Jack the Ripper is literally infamous for what he's done, and he kind of did nothing, you know. And I thought he kind of looked cool, but he did nothing, and I didn't even like him in part 1 that much. So part 1 is Jack the Ripper. Not much to say about him because part 1 was already kind of short, so it's fine, it's whatever. After part 1 is part 2. Now for part 2, Battle Tendency, I have 2 picks. This one has 2 picks because I feel like one of the picks that I have, maybe not a lot of people will like and care about. So I picked another one that people might like and care about. The first one that I thought was truly wasted and did nothing was Wired Beck. Wired Beck did literally nothing, and I thought he could have had even a little mini cool like thing, but he literally came and did nothing. He's such a minor character that I feel like if I said this character, people are not gonna care. They're gonna be like, who cares, you know, like, I don't care about that dude, you know, who is that? You know, he was never supposed to be a cool character, you know. So instead I also picked Straizo. Straizo, now you could say he did do quite a bit, because he was from part 1 and he even carried over to part 2. And he had a cool little speech about how he thought Dio was all powerful, and why he went from Hamo into doing what Dio did and becoming what Dio was, kind of. Yes, that could be, but I think he was killed off maybe a little too quick for the hype, or for the build up for him. I thought maybe that was the point. He wasn't supposed to be. This is about the Pillarmen. Maybe it was their thing, because part 2 mainly focuses on the Pillarmen. It's not really a bad guy of the week kind of thing. So, but I still thought maybe he could have been like a Diego Brando, where he's like he's a bad guy, but he's just kind of there in the back, kind of doing his thing. He comes back every so often. Maybe he's like another kind of weird fight. Maybe a distraction, something to freshen it up from fighting the Pillarmen and what they do. It could have been a cool thing, but yeah, Straizo wasn't terrible. He might be on this list, at least. He might be one of the, like, he did do a fair amount, so I can't say he's completely wasted. After Straizo is part 3. Part 3 had a lot of stand of the week villains. They came, they die, they come, they get injured or whatever, sure, and they never show up again. Exceptions are like Whole Horse, Enyama, whatever they want to call her. So part 3, because I feel like a lot of these characters did what they were supposed to do. Maybe not more. Maybe you could argue they should have done a little more, but for most of the enemies, I think they did what they supposed to. So I chose someone that maybe you might not agree with or care about because of what he did. Maybe you thought he fit his role well, sure. But for part 3, I chose Kenny G, the guy with the stand Billie Jean. Now I know what you're saying, Kenny G, who the hell is Kenny G? Who is that man? And what the hell did he do? Kenny G was the little dude who, I'm pretty sure he got punched in the face by Jotaro's. It was a really shocking thing to watch, like, whoa, he just got punched in the face, whoa. But it's like, he was a Shockmore character, and he was kind of a joke, kind of like the Yamcha or the Dan Hibiki, you know, kind of just like, he kind of did nothing. He was just a joke, more so, a gag, Hercule. And that's not a bad thing. I don't think some characters can be gag characters, but some characters can be gag characters and not feel like they're wasted or did not much. Like Dan is not wasted, in my opinion, in the Street Fighter topic in general, or that series. Or Hercule is not wasted, he's kind of a joke, even though he's kind of a fighter, but more so a joke compared to everybody else. This character, Kenny G, for someone who lives in DL's mansion and is a servant for him, I expected a little bit more, maybe. Maybe he could have, like, did, like, a fake out. They could have done a fake out thing where it's like, oh, you punched him, but, like, oh, maybe he had something else up his sleeve or something cool for someone who lives in Dio's mansion. Now, maybe it might not take a lot to get in his mansion. I mean, Dio has all these girls and maybe a couple of dudes in there just chilling, but it's like, I just expected a little bit more, especially for his stand name, Billie Jean. I'm pretty sure they changed it, just like Man in the Mirror or whatever. I think they might have changed that, but I think it was a bit like, come on, man, you could have done something. You could have faked me out, done something. But he didn't. He was just kind of there, and then he got punched, and it was shocking, and it was like, whoa, he got punched. And that was about it. And after part 3 is part 4. Part 4 has so many, like, villains that, or just characters in general, that is more world building and more like, well, I can't say they were wasted because most of them, I feel like, weren't, to me at least. So it was kind of hard picking someone for part 4. And this might be a weird pick, maybe. Maybe this could be, I'm pretty sure I mentioned him in one of my other videos for wasted or underutilized or whatever. But this one I'm gonna say Keicho, because I feel like Keicho is a bad guy but a good guy, maybe, kinda, sorta, not really. But I think Keicho does have a really, like, in-between kind of thing where he can be a bad guy but also a good guy at the same time. And for this one, I'm gonna just be talking about him as a bad guy. I feel like Keicho just could have done so much more, kind of like the Raditz situation where it's like, yeah, he introduced a lot and kind of forwarded Okuyasu's character, gave him more of a goal, more of a hate, detest for Chili Pepper. But it's like, man, you just could have did something else with Keicho. He's his literal brother. Maybe I'm fine with him dying, I guess, sure, but it's like he could have maybe done something else, you know. Before he died, he could have done something else. Maybe keep him around for a little bit longer. Maybe you might disagree with that because that would not show Chili Pepper in a demonic light that you were supposed to, but it's just like, I feel like Keicho could have done a little bit more considering that he's literally Okuyasu's brother. But that could just be me harping on things like, oh, well, he's his brother, he should be doing this, blah. You know, it could just be me tripping. But I'm gonna say Keicho for part 4 because part 4 doesn't have too many characters that I feel like were really wasted necessarily. So that's it for part 4. Part 5 is also a kind of part 4 situation-esque. I was originally gonna say Risotto, but Risotto is like, I already love Risotto, and I think he did do his role really good. I just wish they went more with him, and I don't know why, but in the anime, I think they cut out his backstory for some reason. That is kind of just weird to me why they did that, but I think Risotto is a really clean character, and I really wish they dived more into depth with him. Maybe they could have worked with Risotto somehow, some way. Maybe. You know, that might be a bit of a stretch. Or maybe Risotto could have been just a third guy, just trying to get the boss, but not really working with them, but sort of later. It's just like, and he had such a dope fight with Doppio, no pun intended. And I really did think Risotto was a cool character, and a lot of people praise Risotto. A lot of people are like, yo, Risotto's clean, and for good reason too. Risotto is really clean, but you can say Risotto might be this character, or I was gonna say maybe Mario or Luca, someone like that, because Luca really did nothing basically, and I feel like a lot of people praise Luca for some reason. I don't know why they do, but they just do. Mario kind of basically took out the whole team, so we just didn't see much from him, other than him literally getting tortured with the dance, the W torture dance. But you could say either Risotto. I personally would probably go with Risotto for this part, because I think Risotto could have just done a lot more, considering how clean and cool he was. Not to be the guy, you know, who the stereotypical guy who likes Venom and the edgier characters, but I think Risotto really was cool in this part. Even Pesci was like slept on fair amount, but Risotto was definitely the clean character, bad guy that was kind of wasted to me a little bit for part 5. And for part 6, Stone Ocean, I'm gonna have to go. You could say maybe one of Dio's kids, not Donatello, maybe Rikio, maybe the comic book dude or whatever who made the media or whatever. But I'm gonna say the lady, I could not pronounce her name when I read it. Mira-shan, whatever her name is. Could not pronounce it. My bad, but I was gonna say her because, one, I think she has a really clean look and a really dope design. Yes, it's fairly simple, and yes, it's like, oh man, like that's literally just like you know, just a girl with long black hair. But I think her design was really cool and really, yes, it was simple, but it works because simple doesn't mean bad to me. So like Frieza's final form, it gets a lot more simple than his other forms, but it's not bad. This character, her design is not bad, and I think she had a kind of cool stand, maybe like Darby-esque stand, sure. But I think it was a bit more interesting. I just feel like she didn't do too much in the grand scheme of things. In Stone Ocean, at least. And Stone Ocean doesn't have too many characters that were more like wasted per se. So I just went with this character because I think she didn't do too much in Stone Ocean. And after Stone Ocean is Steel Ball Run, Part 7. I feel like there was a lot of characters that I could say truly that I really wish did a bit more to me, because there's so many characters that I liked in Stone Ocean, but some of them I didn't care for too much, like LA Boom Boom, sure, whatever, characters like that. Maybe Stroheim, you could say, was a bit wasted, because for Stroheim standards, like, come on, man, he went from part 2 being a G, this bastard Nazi was a G in part 2, to now he's kind of just there and is gone now. He's dead now, so it's like, okay, that's fine. But I'm not going to say Stroheim. I'm going to go with Blackmore, because Blackmore was so clean. Some of his panels and some of the art that they did with him was some peak Jojo art. And I love the stand. I love the reference Catch the Rainbow. I thought it was really cool. Yes, it's only maybe useful in the Ranger, but I still think Blackmore could have done a lot more, considering how cool he was, and his design was cool, and his personality was cool. And then he was just kind of gone now. So it was kind of sad seeing that. I really thought he was going to be more like a Vanilla Ice kind of character that is kind of like maybe second to the president in a way. But it's like he kind of was gone. So that kind of was a downer for me. But that's okay. I still think I really appreciate Blackmore and what he did. You could say Mike O too. Maybe he didn't do a lot, and I feel like he had a really dope design too, and I think maybe he could have done a lot too, just as much as Blackmore. So you could say both those characters. But that's going to be it for part 7. And let me know in part 8 a bad guy that you think was a bit more wasted. Not really slept on. Slept on is like more, he really was clean, but not a lot of people noticed or cared about it. But wasted is in, he was a bit underutilized. Or she was underutilized. But that's going to be it for this video, you guys. I could do another part if you guys really want another part of this video. I don't mind doing these. They're really fun to do, but I also do appreciate all the comments I get on my videos from people who like my videos and just stop by and watch. They really do brighten up my day in a lot of ways, and I look forward to reading all of them because I read all my comments. I really do go through each and every one and read them. For some reason, I don't get like response, like notifications, or see if there was a reply to the comment, but I do, you know, love reading all my comments. But that's gonna be for this video, and W for that guy who liked the outro song to my videos. That was a W, but that's gonna be it for this video, you guys. Peace.
Now bless all these things, but